Support Laneside. Get something cool. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Drill Room. As always, I am the Bearded Beast, Rob Johnson, and as I said, you are joining us here in the Drill Room. This is the show that is for the bowlers, driven by the bowlers, where we can get a little bit more interactive than just answering questions online, where we can talk to you directly, where we can kind of give a little bit of visual feedback and answer all those cool questions, as well as talk about the news going on in the bowling world. And we got a lot to talk about tonight. But before we do that, want to remind everyone to follow us on Facebook. If you go to lanesidereviews.com, it'll take you directly to our Facebook page. Or you can follow us on any social media platform, Twitch, Twitter, I keep forgetting them, Reddit, as well as TikTok, and yeah, I'm still pretty sure that we've got scoops on Bumble, maybe Grindr, I'm not sure. Whatever he's happy with. So if you just look up hashtag TEAMLSR or Laneside Reviews on your favorite platform, you'll be able to find us pretty easily. So let me tell you about what's going on tonight, because it's going to be a jam-packed show. We're going to start off with talking about, well, the USBC Masters and the huge controversy that has developed over the past 24 hours since the end of the practice session. We also are going to be talking about the actual USBC Masters itself. What we've seen out there, we're going to take a look at the leaders through two squads. We're going to look at the lane pattern, talk a little bit about how they're playing it and why. And we're going to talk about some brand new bowling releases that were just released before we went to air. So we're going to get them in too. So like I said, jam-packed show. So let's jump right into it. Hello, Mobile. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm sure Vincent will be along at some point soon. He's usually with us pretty quickly. So let's talk about the big scandal. CW Paints, hello. Thank you for watching. Hey, there he is. I knew he was going to be here soon. Thank you for coming, Vincent. So, about, well, you can see here, this was at 1:31 this afternoon. 13 hours before that, Jason Belmonte puts up a post that's very interesting. You can see the black curtains there, the sheltered secret area. And basically what's happened is the USBC has approached him and asked if they could test his equipment, but without him there. Now this is it's a very unusual situation. Now we know that the USBC is still collecting data about urethane as well as other equipment out there. We know that they're trying to protect the integrity of the game as we know it currently. And we know that they have gone on record saying that they would continue to test basically at will to make sure that everything's going properly. But it is very, very unusual, very out of normal line for testing to have equipment taken out of the view of the actual bowler themselves or the athlete. Now, when we're talking about without the athlete, we're talking about no ball reps, no company reps, just the USBC and that player's equipment. No one else seeing what's going on. That's a little, I don't want to say sketchy, because the USBC has yet to really ever be convicted of doing something super sketchy. And because of that, they are innocent until proven guilty. However, to let you know, as a national coach, as someone who trains in the same rules that are used at the Olympic Games. It is very clear as a coach that we are not to let our athletes, when they're being tested, when things are being tested, they are not to leave our site. The athlete, their samples and anything that's being tested is not to leave their site until it's all cataloged, put away, put into storage as such that it cannot be tampered with in any way, shape, or form. So that basically that athlete, its fluids, its equipment, whatever, never leaves that athlete's site when it's being tested. So for the USBC to ask to take the equipment and look at it without anyone else there is, I hate to say it, but it's extremely suspect. And to take that one step further, you can actually see from Jeff Riggles from 11thframe.com, and I highly recommend that you, if you like bowling, support Jeff, because Jeff gets the scoops before anybody else. And he really is the journalist when it comes to bowling, especially transparency when it comes to USBC. And he updated himself and said that many athletes were asked, and they said it is for ongoing testing. Yeah, you can see here, though, USBC rules gives them the right to check equipment in person. There's zero reason to hide it. There's no reason to hide any kind of testing going on here. So when it comes to what Jason did, I have to agree with him. Like, I would definitely have not let my equipment out of my site to go get tested with the USBC. There's no reason that the player or a ball rep or a company rep or somebody couldn't be there with the USBC. 100%, no reason. So I agree with what Jason did here. Now, it's interesting because if you watch the newest Brad and Kyle video, there's a little blurb at the very end. It kind of gets glossed over by Brad, where the USBC asked them to submit their equipment as well to be looked at. Now, they just gave it to them and kind of went on. They didn't really think of anything of it, but this is an interesting development. Now, Jeff made sure to update everyone to let them know that no players were disciplined for refusing to have their equipment checked. Now, there are rules that the USBC can check equipment at any time, and a ball must be produced within 30 minutes of that request. That is very standard, but once again, that is for testing in front of the player. So this is new territory that we're getting into here. Very, very unusual. Now, maybe we're seeing another ball being tested, because you see Jason, and now Brad and Kyle. I don't know what other players have been asked to have tested, but it'd be interesting to see the breakdown of which companies they were from. I'd like to see if it was an even distribution of players that were asked to have their equipment tested, if it was a random distribution. I'd be interested in finding out that information. A little bit of transparency here would be good. Now, if you ask Jeff Riggles, he has not had a lot of luck with transparency from the USBC. So I'm hoping, since they've been very transparent lately, especially with the Purple Hammer situation, that they will come out and try to get ahead of this a little bit and maybe let everyone know what they were thinking. Because this is just silly. I personally feel like Jason was right on this. Yeah, 100%. I am with you. 100%. No reason for a player not to watch their equipment be tested. What's up with the ad breaks on Twitch? Made me miss like 2 minutes. I have no idea. That's a new one. I will look into that. I'll let you know. It's a witch hunt. It does sound like it, doesn't it? It does really feel like they're looking for something or someone. And without transparency, it's very hard not to look at it that way. Yeah, they really... Sorry, I had a message come through. They're really not doing themselves any favors by not telling people exactly what their thought process was on this. Yeah. You know, as a coach, you know, we're trained. The athlete's safety is first. So, you know, 2 coaches together, never just one-on-one. That way that there's multiple people to be in a situation. And never let... You know, you don't let your athletes' information when it's being tested leave your site until the test is done and everything is secure. And there's a process for that. There's a very long process for that you have to go through to make sure from the beginning of the sample to the end of the sample, whether it be testing fluids or equipment, to make sure that every step of the process is watched in front of the athlete, their coach, a judge, to make sure that everything is on the up and up. Now, the more interesting question would be, is the paddock area, or was the paddock area, closed last night? Were there people in it 24 hours? Was there 24-hour surveillance on it? Because if all of the equipment's locked in that paddock area, couldn't the USBC just have gone and checked people's equipment, whether they wanted it or not? Not saying they did. Not at all saying that. But if all the equipment's locked in one room and it's all closed and nobody's in there, I would be wondering if anyone's equipment was open this morning. It's very interesting questions. Very, very interesting questions. But this does not look good on the USBC. For one of their biggest tournaments of the year to start off, basically just... like, did they want to pick up a puppy and just punt it across the parking lot too? Did they want to, you know, steal somebody's grandma's pie or change from a little kid going to buy ice cream? Like... Whew. Simon was told that even if something was found soft, they would just give it back for now. So that's interesting. At least, you know, they're definitely... So they've told Simo they're still looking for soft. I wonder if they're looking at expanding and using the PBA rule for urethane, that 2-year cutoff rule. USBC is very separate from the PBA, and being the Masters, they could throw whatever they want this week, other than the Jackal that's banned and the 2 years of Purple Hammer. So maybe they're checking to see what people are pulling out of the woodwork. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how this story develops. So, speaking of the USBC, why don't we head over to the interwebs here? Oh, where'd you go? There you are. To the Masters page. And yes, finals on Fox. April 3rd at 1 p.m. Everybody support that. Bowling is going really well on Fox right now, and because of that, we're seeing more events. You know, look at all of the all the regular titles we're seeing in the PBA. So let's support that. So for those of you who don't know the USBC Masters, or how the format is this year, it is 3 5-game blocks per day. Each round you bowl a different squad. So there's A squad, morning fresh, B squad for the burn, and C squad for the reapply. Today's pattern. This is what they're going to be bowling on. So we're looking at 32 units of oil. That is a lot. I'm just gonna make this bigger. Oh, maybe that was too big. There we go. I think everybody can see it now. There we go. Now everyone can see it. So let's talk about the oil pattern a little bit. 32.3 units of oil here. That is a lot of oil. 16.5 plus forward, 15.5 plus in reverse. So we're seeing it's about equal amounts of oil, but definitely not in how they're distributed on the lane. You can see here, so in the forward pass, you can see they're actually only putting oil 20.4 feet down the lane. Their forward pass. Yes, from 20.4 down to 40, they do have a buff out here. But for the most part, the front part is all one run, 20 feet for all the oil. And if you look at the, we'll get back to the other sheet here in a second. If you look at the distribution here, you can see that nice dark blue and then the teal color there. It basically goes down 20 feet. Lots of oil there. So we know that in the fresh, you're going to be able to play in that 10 board range. That's where you're going to start out. Definitely not where you're going to be able to stay, though. If you look, see this nice area here that's all kind of white? That's our buff out on the way back. You can see here, this is where all of how long the... So the shape of our pattern is done on the forward pass. Now we're getting kind of the longevity of the pattern. And you can see it's quite a tight pattern down lane. We're going 14 to 13, not a lot of oil. 1,400. Then 4 feet from there, 13 to 12. So they're already tapering it out a little bit. 2,400 units. When we get to 22 to 16 feet, so right at the end of that forward pass, we have the most oil. So you're seeing right in this area here, this is where the most oil is. From there, we're seeing the second most amount of oil, just behind that, going back to 12 feet. And then once you pass 8 feet, they don't reapply any oil. There's no all the way back to the line here. So what you're getting is a big concentration of oil in the in this area. Big dry zones outside. And not a lot of oil past 20 feet. Not a lot of oil. We're saying this because 10 games get bowled on this pattern before there's any oil is reapplied. So in the early block, you saw lots of people playing relatively straight, because it is pretty flat from the 8 board into the 12. Actually, well, 8 board in, it's pretty flat. It's 1.25 or less. So they're trying to keep it really straight, really in front of them, a lot of urethane. And that allows them to take that oil and kind of blend it down the pattern a little bit. Problem with that is it really burns up the front part of that lane. Remember, we said there's no oil reapplication in the front part of that lane on the way back. So this pattern blows up in a hurry. It kind of looks like a house pattern when you first look at it. But, yeah, it blows up. With that 30 units of oil, you see a lot of surface early. It really blows up. Forces people inside, and if you don't play these things right, lights out, just over. And we saw a lot of that today. Taking a look at the qualifying, Perry Crowell the fourth, good turbo guy. He just took over for Joanne who retired at Turbo. And he tore him up pretty good. Look at that. 1, 2, 3 games north of 245. And he scored better as they opened up. Now, one of the things I know, I was watching an interview with him. He said in practice, while everyone else was looking at urethane and trying to stay out farther, because he knew he was going to be on the fresh, he jumped inside and jammed the new Columbia 300 speed, and really kept it tight, kept it in the oil, and used the heaviest concentration of oil blending out through the end of the pattern to just tip the ball into the pocket. And I mean, he scored huge. And if you haven't seen the review for the Columbia 300 speed yet, it is available now on our Facebook at Laneside Reviews. So if you just look up TEAMLSR or Laneside Reviews or Columbia 300 speed, you'll probably see one of our ugly faces there. Other people we saw from First Squad, Kevin Williams. Once again, as they started to open up, you see 222, 278, 248. Definitely see him using urethane to blend out the left side. Be very interesting because I could see the left side being much harder on the fresh, but being very playable on the burn. Very, very playable. Where the right-handers really have to get in, I could see the left-handers really, really doing well on B squad. So it'll be interesting to see how Kevin does when he transitions to B. DJ Archer, AA, former champion. Petey Vergas at a 290, 222. He had 14 or 15 in a row at one point. Tom Doherty from the A squad there. Some interesting names here. Some very interesting names at the bottom of the list too. The cut line right now is plus 30. So for 5 games, that's a 206 average. Doesn't seem like much for a house pattern, does it? They are tough. We got Jason Sterner at 0, so even. He's in 97th place. Beef Stu Williams, minus 65. He's in 174th place. Liz Johnson, amazing bowler. We talked about her a few times here on the show. 197th place at minus 85. And Darren Tang, king of urethane, minus 124 in 238th place. So just because they look like they should play a certain way, you still got to play them exactly what you see. That's what Perry did. I mean, he saw a better look moving inside and using the oil that was there before everyone else jumped in, and then looking at weaker stuff later. Man, he killed him out there. Just killed him. So yeah, very, very interesting things going on. Good to say DJ in 5th. He's a nice guy. Such a nice guy. DJ Archer. I don't know. Somebody told me he looked intimidating, and every time I look at him, I just think of like a big fluffy teddy bear. Like he's the biggest smile. But if you've bowled league with him, you've probably seen his angry side too, so who knows? Scoops told me in the league the speed was too much ball for him. I called his bluff based on watching TV. It's a strong ball. Very, very early ball. The out-of-box surface it convinced all of us until we saw that it was actually a hybrid. It convinced us it was a solid. Putting a little bit of surface on this, it really jumps out as the hybrid. You can see it change up the motion a lot. And with the amount of oil in the front end, for the Masters, I think the speed would probably lane shine itself a little bit. Maybe not. Hasn't lane shined yet in 9 games. But I could see it at least getting down the lane a little bit more. Excuse me. A little bit more, and having a much smoother reaction than a lot of people who were throwing more shiny stuff. Almost through my first 300 last week with the method. Stone 8. Oh, Oof. No Stone 8. No. Somewhere Randy Peterson is curled up in the fetal position in the corner, just twitching. Just, No Stone 8s. Oh. Well, you know what? You'll get it soon. You will get it soon, Mobile. I have a feeling. If you were a Stone 8 away from it, then I'm sure you'll get it soon. So, let's talk a little bit more about the USBC Masters. There was some cool stuff going on there that I had a chance to see. One of the things I did like that they did is they gave the players a paper copy of the topography of every lane that they were going to see in the bowling center. So that as you were going house to or lane to lane, as you knew where you were going, you could kind of look up. You know what? I'm going to see this lane is a little depressed. This one's a little crowned. Give players a better idea of what they were walking into lane to lane, and I think we've seen it in the scores. The scores have been fairly high for day one. It used to be with the Masters, you know, if you could get plus 10, you were potentially on a TV show. So they are playing a little high scoring so far, but that's really, I think it's great for the players. Not only for while they're there, but when they're returning for other events, to have that, the ability to go back and look at the topography as it was, you know, at this date and have an idea. I think that's so cool. I actually wish that you could just, you know, go online and buy one of those for every center that's been done. Or if somebody had a library of topography for every center that'd be done, that'd be cool. I'd subscribe to that. As always, at this house, the lower end does tend to hook a little bit more than the higher end. And it looks like a lot of the players, as they've transitioned from the high end of the house to the low end of the house, their scores have gone up a lot as well, especially on Squad A. So I would be watching that. I'd be watching it now if we weren't on a stream. I'm going to be interesting to see that tomorrow. Speaking of re-oil, since they re-oiled tonight, it will be very interesting to see how this pattern develops over the next few days. People often forget that when you put the same pattern down over and over again, the lane develops what we call a bit of a pattern memory. Even when you clean the lanes very, very well, if you put the same pattern down over and over again, the lane is going to have a little residue left over. And over time, it's going to build up. And it's going to be actually in the lane. So you're going to, even on synthetic lanes, so you're going to see the pattern get, in some places tighter, in some places, as they open up, they're going to be more playable. You're not going to see as much of the cliff that we saw today with a distinct oil dry area. So it's going to be very interesting. We saw a lot of big angles, a lot of fast jumps in. I mean, even by game 3 of the A squad, they had moved, 5-10 boards inside. By the time we got to B squad on the burn, you were seeing them loft the gutter. I saw Double A was lofting the gutter in game 2. So it'll be interesting to see how the pattern tightens up over time. See if they're going to be able to create these extreme angles and these extreme abilities to score consistently over time. Now, you think about loft there. We did see people who were lofting very early, trying to, even in Block A, Game 2, trying to just get the ball a little bit farther down the lane before it starts seeing friction. If you think back to our cheat sheet that I put out, which is available at lanesidereviews.com. It's in the image section of the Facebook, or you can email us at lanesidereviews@live.com, and I will email you a copy of it. You will see that where was I here? Oh, I got distracted giving out my email address. Oh yes, on lane play strategy, the order of adjustments that we want to do when we're on different patterns, and you can see the very first one there loft. You know, even just adding 6 inches of loft, you can do it on a fresh pattern. If you find that you need to get a few more feet out of that pattern, if you think there's too much friction getting it down early, but you will just want to get it just a tiny bit farther down lane before it reacts, you can loft game 1. I've seen people do it. We also saw, like Perry here, he used angle. Loft didn't work for him. He used angle. So he moved in and created hold by playing the heaviest part of the oil into the hottest friction to get his ball to react. It's brilliant. Speed is always important, especially on an event like this when the patterns are so flat. Even though it is a medium pattern and speed control is kind of, you know, you can get away with a little bit. You still got to throw it with you still got to throw it within a proper range, 1 mile an hour. I've seen people, especially some of our senior bowlers, they get out on a condition and they're like, oh yeah, I can play this area, no problem. And they get tired by game 2 and their speed starts to drop significantly, or they can't maintain their speed. And suddenly you've got an over-under, and it's not the lane that's doing it, it's the bowler. So you gotta, you know, while speed is kind of medium priority on this pattern, speed control is a high priority. Equipment. It looks like it really came down at this event so far. The equipment, you were either playing urethane and trying to stay right as long as you could, and then making big jumps left, or like Perry did, he started left and just took advantage of it, knowing no one had played before him and no one was going to be that, I guess, other than him, was going to be that deep. So it's good for him. Release is going to be very important. Consistent release, a lot of forward roll on this pattern. You think about our releases. If you were to go and look at our bowlers as they were bowling there, you'd see a lot of neutral and a lot of neutral with rotation. That's on page 2 of the cheat sheet. Because we see something very important there. It's defined friction to take advantage of. We talked about that in our release special. You know, this pattern has very defined friction points. It's almost defined oil points because there's more friction than oil. So you'll see a lot of people using neutral and neutral with rotation early. Even going to extension with rotation as the pattern starts to break down. And then once they make those huge moves, you could see, as if they're blended properly, some strong releases to get it to corner. But there's so much friction down lane. I'm sure if you look, a lot of them were still using just neutral with rotation because they didn't need to help it. So that is a little bit, throw to the friction. That's a little bit of the breakdown on the USBC Masters. Yeah, you know what? The bowling itself has been great. If you've had a chance to watch the tournament, the bowling's been fantastic. It's just too bad the kind of shadiness that's clouding the overhead. You know, why? Why not just let players, if you want to test something, just let players watch. Maybe they are targeting certain players. Maybe they're targeting certain brands or certain balls. We don't know. But they only make it worse by not sharing that information. They only make it much, much worse for themselves. Speaking of new releases, we got a graphic. It's cheesy. Okay. So we got 3 new balls announced today. Thank you, plural. So let's take a look at them here. The first one we're going to look at, the new Track Kinetic Black Ice. Now this is basically I don't want to say the same ball as the Platinum. It's going to be very similar. But now we've got Dynamic Core. Woo! Dynamic Core, the blue stuff. We've also got re-released, because I think the Platinum came out, a couple of years ago now. Good heavens. And it's just not available anymore. This is a piece that I'm very happy to see come back out. It is one of Liz Culkin's favorites. She keeps shooting endless 800s and 300s with her Platinum. This is Track's version of what I would put in the late hook position. You look at that differential and that asymmetry. It's going to give you the opportunity to have something that you can put pin down. So if you look at our handy dandy Arsenal building sheet, which is also available through lanesidereviews.com or by emailing us for your copy, you can see that our late hook, we prefer symmetricals, but for our burn, for our burn ball, we do hope to get a pearl asymmetrical. Now, yes, this trackball does not come in at 2.55 RG. Probably have to drill the fingers pretty deep to raise the RG plane on it. It does, however, have a pretty weak core at 040, and the asymmetry is on the symmetrical side of things at 006. Really? Okay, I'm gonna have to check some settings. I just got I got my, yeah, I'll have to check the settings. I just became a Twitch partner, and I think that must be a setting in here. Give me 1 second here. Let's see what's going on. Ad-free viewing turned on. Allow subscribers to watch your channel ad-free. Huh. Interesting. Well, that was interesting. I'm not sure. I think they turned it on, so I've turned it off. Hopefully, it will now be turned off for the rest of the stream. I apologize to anybody who's gotten stuck with them. My deepest apologies. So yeah, I really like this kind of in the late hook spot, this kinetic. You could do a really nice pin-up, drill the fingers like an inch deeper. Something about putting Twitch in theater mode. Oh, could be. Anyway, back to the ball. My apologies, everybody. Yeah, because this ball is on the symmetrical side of asymmetrical, I kind of like this ball in the late hook position. So when it gets in, that's where I will be drilling it for our bowlers. So if you look here for our speed dominant player, they'll be at 65 by 5.5 by 40. Our matched player will be at 55 by 5.25, 5.25 by 40, and our rev dominant player will be at 40 by 4.5 by 40. So we'll try it out. But you were taking a break. I don't know. I get supported by YouTube. I don't need you guys to have to watch commercials. That kind of irritates me, I'll be honest. I don't want you guys to have to watch any more commercials than you have to, seeing as YouTube will probably throw them in anyway. But I don't like my stream being interrupted with it. I'm not a fan of that at all. Sorry about that. But as I said, we're going to be drilling it with the late hook. So if you go to your Arsenal construction sheet, that'll have all the information on it. Now, we won't change the surface on it. We will be using the out-of-box surface. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Because we test on the fresh, the late hook at 4,000 may not actually be something that we can play on our fresh pattern. But we might be able to later beat one up and give it a try. Or go in during open play, because there's never any oil on the lanes during open play, and give it a try there. Because we want to be able to kind of show off what it's supposed to do, not just, you know, there's a strike, yay. So let's see here. Next ball. Next one is, well, it's a damn good ball. It's a damn good ball. It's the new Damn Good Verge Pearl. It's 5 money symbols. 5, not 6, 5. That's for scoops. Pretty much this ball has been money for the guys on tour. The solid one they came out with, really, really good. The core is very predictable. You can see at 2.467, it's very low RG. So it starts up very quickly. But at 0.37 differential, it's not a huge flaring ball, so it's a very controlled pearl. In the vein of the Intel Pearl. I'm going to say it's probably going to be closer to the bonus Pearl or the SE, the Intel SE. Straight off the bat, it's the Insider Pearl, and I see sparkles. 3 a.m. Hello, thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. Yeah, you can see sparkles in that thing. Their favorite additive now, the gold sparkle. It makes everything hook more. And it's 500,000, 1,500 plus polish. We hope all is good out there as well. Yay, sparkles! That's right. It is the best additive that you can add to a ball, apparently. Add sparkles, hooks like 5 boards more. Who knew? So yeah, this is going to be in that controlled spot. I could also see this being a late hook ball. My only issue with it being a late hook ball is how low RG it is. It's still going to start up, so it's not going to have a ton of hook down lane. Just woke up as I work night shift. That's okay. Thank you for coming back. We always enjoy having you. Sparkle, sparkle, sparkle. That's a fill card now. Deal with textured covers. It does seem to be something that has really come over from Radical. They did their TP, or their TS1 and their TP, and then their TP1 Plus, and now we're seeing that sparkle show up in just about everything. So it's definitely an additive that they found that just works. I have no problem with it. You know, if it gets me extra hook, I'll buy it. If it'll mighty my strike, I'll buy a dozen. As always, this is a dot and dynamic core ball, so you don't have to worry about how you're drilling it. So this one's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy. I've only thrown the old Hellraiser. Not that into Deviate balls. If you're looking for a good benchmark ball, the Damn Good Verge Solid, probably one of the best balls Deviate's made. Straight up. It's not as good as the Intel. Not much is as good as the Intel, in my opinion, but it's a pretty good ball. So, moving on from there, I need a snow tire. The speed. Columbia 300 speed. That thing is, even as an asymmetric, it's a snow tire. I have it out hooking the Defender from Brunswick by 2 or 3 boards down lane, but still being able to handle the same amount of oil. So if you're looking for snow tires, that might be the ball for you. Last new one, and it's a new one from Ebonite. the Envision. Look at this freaky core. I think this thing, it's like a cross between like a bee's butt and Bender's head. It hooks! Look at this thing. It is a 2.501, so it's a little bit higher RG, and that's probably because of this mass thing sticking out of it here. I wish I could just reach across and, like, poke it. Ah! Poke myself in the eye instead. Damn it! Oh! Oh, that's better. I look weird without glasses. Have you ever seen that? I just don't look right. SD73 for the win. So check this thing out here. That's Bender Core. What'd they call it? The Envision. Kiss my shiny That's right. That's right. Kiss my shiny metal core. Look at this, 502,000 out of the box. That's a lot of surface. So already you can tell this is going to be an early ball. We call it slower response, heavy hooking. It's going to see the oil really early. But at 2.501, we saw a lot of good stuff out of the Hellraisers at that same RG level. It just pushes those cores a little bit farther down lane. When you raise the RG, the core gets just a little bit harder to spin up. So even if it's 1 or 2 feet, 3 feet, you know, that's an appreciable distance for a stronger ball. Because we're doing that, we get a little bit more energy down lane. I don't know if you saw Tommy Jones. They just put out the first 10 shots with Tommy Jones. He shot 230 with it, and he was swinging the lane with it. He was playing the old twig shot, which is surprising because the differential is only 0.53, and the asymmetrical differential, intermediate differential, is 0.10. So it's still shooting towards that symmetrical side of things, but I'm gonna take a wild guess and say that because of the mass that you remove with the thumb would probably be underneath Bender's eye socket here. It probably creates an interesting kind of vortex roll because you'll have the piece sticking out and then a void below it, making it even more. Hello, Lulu. Yeah, making it even more rotationally strong. So it's going to be interesting. This is the one that kind of excites me the most. The kinetic black ice, I'm pretty sure I have a spot in my bag for right now. That's going to replace the Night Prowler that I'm throwing in that spot. Just because, I've got that PBA event coming up, so I want to make sure I've got nothing with nothing that's been filled, and it used to have a weight hole in it. The Damn Good Verge, I can see Scoops really liking this one. He had the Verge Pearl in his bag for a while. So I could see this probably fitting into Scoops' bag. And I want to see where this Envision fits in before it ends up going to Wayne. It's just very interesting. When you drill a ball, do you recommend conventional grip or fingertip? Let me pop back over here. Oh, thank you for following me. Much appreciated. Do you recommend conventional grip or the fingertip? Well, it depends on yourself. Conventional tends to be very comfortable. It doesn't put a lot of stress on your joints. It's why we tend to put newer bowlers into it, because it allows them to strengthen their hand and all the tendons and muscles in the back of their hand. But when you get to a higher level, we tend to move people into fingertip. It increases your rev rate, so it allows you to hook to potentially create a higher angle of entry for the ball, hooking it a little bit more. Now, having said that, Jacob Buttriff throws everything out the window. If you actually look at his drill sheet, I think his span is only 3 1/4 inches because he uses basically full conventional grip, and he still hooks it. But he's a bit more... Thanks. Yeah, there's Butters. Then there's Butters. It's really personal. There are even people, I don't know if you've ever heard of the Sarge Easter grip, and it's a combination of the two. It is both half conventional and half fingertip, used to take some pressure off of somebody's hand if they've had some finger injuries or hand, wrist injuries. Bowl with what makes you comfortable. I have people that I have drilled high-end equipment for that roll fairly straight, only hook 3, 4, 5 boards to throw it conventional grip. It does make it more difficult to hook it, but it's not impossible. It's whatever you want to do. It's one of the things I love about bowling. Bowling is... Someone once said bowling is artistic because everything is how you interpret it and how you express yourself. Bowling is life. No. Bowling is more than art because it's the combination of artistic expression and scientific realities. It's a hybrid of physical explosiveness and the most deepest concentration that your mind can do. It's very hard to kind of put it into what it should or shouldn't be, other than make it what you want to be. I have a conventional, but I've considered fingertip grip and was wondering about advice on it. Do it. As Scoops often says, if you're thinking about doing it, you probably already should have done it. At least for moves. Yeah, no, if you want to try it, there's no reason you shouldn't. Here's the caveat, though. Don't do it to your favorite ball. If you want to try it out and make the jump, buy something used. There's usually plenty of bowlers around who have used equipment, especially if you're in that 14 to 15 pound range, that you can get one and have it filled and drilled fingertip for you. Because you're going to find, too, that the way that you roll it fingertip, the way that the ball is laid out for your conventional grip may not necessarily work and may frustrate you more than convince you to make the jump full time. So don't be afraid to spend a few bucks, spend 50 or 60 bucks, get a used ball, get it drilled properly for you fingertip, and then give that a try. If you're happy with that, then get your favorite ball plugged and re-drilled and move it over. But definitely don't be afraid to give it a try. Fingertip will take some getting used to, but it will increase your scores a lot. A lot. But that's what I say as a national coach. That's what I would say to anyone I was working with, is if you're thinking about it, let's do it. Let's give it a try. Don't put me in a box, man. Yeah, it's... Bowling is so much more. Rick Benoit of Bowl U, his whole thing is, he's got the different colors, the different wheels, some of it's artistic, some of it's this, some of it's that. And I think he's pretty close there. I don't happen to like the gentleman himself, but doesn't mean that what he's teaching isn't right. I think that to properly be a bowler, you have to express yourself in your release. Everyone is different. Every style is different. As I said in my release video and my arm swing video, it's integrating good habits into what you do that will make you the best bowler that you can be. Not everyone's going to throw like Earl Anthony. Not everyone's going to throw like Walter Ray. I don't know anybody who can throw like Walter Ray other than Walter Ray. But there are certain timing points and mechanics that if you can work them into your own personal expression of how you throw the bowling ball, you will throw better than by just trying to emulate someone else. There's also a lot of science in bowling. I think just by saying it's an expression of what you think, I think that dismisses how much technology plays a role in the game. For some people, it traps them in areas where they can't bowl certain ways because they only have certain equipment and only know how to throw certain equipment. For other players, it releases them and allows them to do more and become more versatile. McCune can throw anything anywhere. I bowled at the World Series in 2013 with Eugene, Daddy McCune, and in the span of 4 days, I watched him slow hook a lane, play up the middle, and play up the 3-board at about 30 mile an hour. That dude can do anything. He does not get enough credit. Just people think he's super crusty. Because he looks, I say this all the time, he looks severe, very severe. But he's actually a super nice guy. When I fell and got hurt at the World Series, he was the first guy on the lane making sure I was okay. Like, don't let the hard exterior fool you. The guy is actually really nice. Okay, I may refill my Rhino as I have that and want to get my storm balls. Yeah, no, that's a perfect thing to do. Get it filled. Try it out. If you like it, you know the next ball you buy is going to be stronger and only do more. What is the hardest pattern you've ever bowled on? Scoops and I bowled on one in Buffalo once. We bowled on Highway to Hell, which in itself is a relatively difficult pattern. Unfortunately, the lane machine had broke, and it hadn't cleaned the back ends at all. And they had kids' leagues and birthday parties and all sorts of stuff in beforehand. So it was just the oil had carried down with plastic all down lane. So you'd play where you wanted to play the ball, and you'd get it to the hook point, and it just would die. Basically, the people who were able to play very straight, like off the corner of the lane, and play very diagonally direct to the pocket, or those who had a lot of forward roll and could just get the ball to barely tip into the pocket, they had a field day. They crushed the field. Because anyone who wanted to hook the ball was out of luck. You could not get the ball to hook. At one point, I had a ball at 320, and 320 or 500, at one of the old Nightmares, and I rolled it up 10, and it never lost axis rotation. It just all the way down into the pins, like it was bad. It was tough. Scoops had a much better day than I did. At the time, he was much better at changing rotations and such. Don't let him tell you any different, but he's actually a pretty good bowler. Just don't give him any pearl balls to throw. Rock into the pocket, that's right. Wow, boy. So yeah, that is the USBC Masters in a nutshell. And now we have time to take your questions, my favorite part of the show. You can send these questions in to lanesidereviews@live.com, or send them in by Facebook, or post questions on any one of the topics on any one of our videos. You can also send things like Pro Shop horror stories and things like that. Or you can go to our Reddit page, and if you have any questions, you can post them on there at Reddit r/lanesidereviews. So I'm going to go over here. Let's see. there were a lot of questions on our last video. The drill room that we did for the USBC, the Open Championships in Vegas. A lot of people asked things like particle balls. Where do particle balls fit in? Particle balls are super slow response balls. They were made to be even earlier than the old super low RG cores, because they had little glass beads in them. They would be in your fresh, probably your slow response asymmetrical. That's where I would probably, if I had one there. The only problem is particle balls are incredibly hard to resurface. You have to use the diamond Trizact pads, and they're super hard to find. Otherwise, you can't actually properly break the little beads in the cover stock and get the proper cover restored. It's why most of them died after 60 or 70 games. Some, I guess like your AMF Nighthawk Torque, have done very well and stayed good, but unfortunately most of them died very quickly. Because once you broke the beads, you had to completely resurface and find new ones to get all that surface and get them to be early and see the lane earlier. Russell said, Tom D is smarter than your average bear on the way to on the way to add a weight hole. Absolutely. Tom Doherty is a rebel, and he's amazing. See here. Scotty Thompson. Hello, Scotty Thompson. Roy. Hi, Rob. Great content. I have a relatively old Arsenal that I'll be taking. My revs are about 314 to 15 mile an hour range. So he's going to be our 14 to 15 mile an hour at 300. He's slightly, oh, it's actually pretty matched. Yeah, no, he's pretty matched in there. I was thinking you might be slightly speed dominant, or slightly rev dominant because of that, but, let's just double check here. I always like to rev rate versus, let's see here. So 14 to 15 mile an hour, 300 RPM. So he is going to be slightly rev dominant, just very, very slightly. The speed for 300, they say, is around anywhere from 16.5 to 17.5 mile an hour. So he's slightly rev dominant. So he's giving me some equipment here. What would you recommend? Okay, so he's got a Prism Solid. Pin is 1/2 inch above the ring finger, so that's a faster response layout. Squatch Solid. Pin in the finger. Web Tour Edition. Faster response layout. Statement Pearl. A fast response layout. And a Fanatic. If I were going to add something, and he said, is possibility of adding a Bigfoot or Purple Hammer. Absolutely Purple Hammer. 100%. Especially for the USBC Open Championships, urethane is in play. 100%. If I was going to replace something else, probably a little right of the ring finger. I wish I knew your PAP and how far the pin to PAP was on that Prism Solid, because I just don't see a pin down ball that can handle heavy oil, like a slower response ball. So if I was going to do anything, I'd add a Purple Hammer and maybe get a strong, slower response ball. Replace that Prism Solid with maybe a Defender or Quantum Evo Solid. Something like that would be pretty good in there. Scott Barnes wants to hear what Scoop's Arsenal would be like. Well, we will have to get him in here and ask him. He would probably take a Forza. 100% he would probably take a Forza with him. Even the best laid plans of mice and men oft times explode. Yes, 100%. 100%. They go boom. Let's see here. What other good questions? I do love going through the comments that you guys put up. Highway to Hell is actually not a bad pattern when you've got some back end. When you have zero back end, it's or worse, what we were going into, we saw a lot of carry down to the outside, towards the 7s and 10 pins. So if you missed to the right, the ball never recovered, and if you missed inside, there was still friction, so it would take off just in front of the head pin. So it was awful. Not my favorite pattern. I love bowling on PBA patterns. Defined friction all over the place. Everyone needs a career maker. That's right. Let's see, what other questions did we have? Purple Hammer, how does it compare to a tactical control? Much more motion in the purple urethane. Even though the tactical control is the original urethane that we saw in the old Rhinos, this urethane that's in the purple is just a different animal. It could be because it's softer, could be the pearl, who knows. Well, we know it is a little bit softer. The tactical control, let me find it what the... I love having the internet now here in the shop, so that I can check these things. Where are you, urethane ball? Where are you, urethane ball? There you are, tactic control. Does it have the hardness on there? Does not have its hardness. I didn't think it would. I think most places have stopped even checking there, even beforehand. Even before the Purple Hammer, I think most places stopped checking hardness because it doesn't have a hardness listing on here. But I would wager a guess. The urethane from back there, the original Rhinos and such, the PBA used to have a rule. It used to actually have a higher or a harder durometer rating rule than USBC. So, for example, if, say, for instance, USBC was 75, PBA would be 78 or 79. So all the ball manufacturers would have to meet those specifics. And I would wager a guess if you took a look at the tactic control, it would probably be a 75 to 78 hardness, which then again does push it down lane a lot more. And if you haven't watched the video that Ron Hicklin did about the impact, we talked about the footprint of the ball, how much of the ball is touching the lane surface. The Purple Hammer and the Spectre, you'll see the difference very quickly between them and regular pieces because they are so much softer. That's why they got banned. The old purples, the 6s and 7s. 6s and 7s. What would be a modern replacement for a blue Phantom? Good question. The navy blue Phantom. Let me take a look at that core. Oh, that's the fun core. That's the really fun core. Images. That's gonna be a tough one. That's gonna be a really tough one to replace. I'm gonna be honest. The Phantoms were a different animal. Asymmetric urethane. I'm getting to it, Scoops. Jeez. Asymmetric urethane is not easy to come by. There really are only a couple of them. Trying to see if I still have... I had one of the original flyers with all the specs on them. Here we go. I can show it to you there. Oh, the blue one. Yeah, the blue one was the fun core. Yep. Okay. Okay, let's see here. Blue Phantom. Blue Phantom on 123bowling.com. Bought mine off German eBay for $5. Oh my goodness. You got a deal, sir. Good heavens, did you get a deal? Okay, so it was a two-piece. Lefty single drill. Oh, that's beautiful. Yeah, so this was the gigantic core. This was the, so this core was reused. We saw this reused in the Ultra Zone. And there was another ball recently we saw a similar core, and Scoops is going to hit me with it. I know he is. It was a Columbia ball, I think. But not urethane. It had a huge differential in it. I still think Scoops is going to be correct. Your closest that you're going to get is the new Pink Widow. It's going to be actually a little bit stronger. It's going to be a little bit earlier, so you may have to change the surface on it a little bit, because it's at 360/800 at a box. So you may have to take it up just a tiny bit, but that'll probably get you pretty close. Nothing is going to flare as much as those old Phantoms. But if you drill the thumb an extra inch deeper, if you're using a thumb slug or a switch grip or a ultimate thumb, you can't do it with a vice thumb though, unfortunately. But if you go with the biggest thumb slug or switch grip that you can, and then drill the thumb an extra 1 inch deep inside, you can raise the differential and get it pretty close. The Command X, yes, the new Command from Columbia 300. Black Widow urethane, but the pin down layout on that one, yeah. I'm not a big fan of slow response layouts, pin down layouts on urethane. They are already so early, and then putting a layout that's potentially going to make it spin up faster and earlier, you just kind of kill the ball. I would probably go with something in the range of 55, 4.5 to 5 inches by 35. Pretty standard urethane. You can change, because you get if you look at the Black Widow Pink, if you get the Black Widow Pink, you can change your drill angle to get a little bit more length or a little bit less length out of it. Sounds like for you might think about like 55 to 65 degrees in there, and you should be able to match it up to that Blue Phantom pretty easily. Or as Scoop says, you could go with a short pin Command, Columbia 300. That's going to have a little more motion than the urethane. It's still going to be a resin ball, so it's going to soak up oil. But it's not going to create carry down like you would with a traditional urethane ball. So great question. That's a great one. Looks like somebody thought our center looked like their hometown lanes. There is an instant... there are instances on a house shot where urethane is valid. Oh, somebody asked about talking about urethane. Jake. Yes, there's tons of times when urethane in a house shot is called for. Scoops, like literally the man of 1,000 urethane balls. For him, it just allows him to play in an area that scores the highest on our house shot. So I would never say that you shouldn't or can't play urethane. There are lots of people who complain about it. And you're not going to see as much of a benefit from playing urethane on a house shot as you would on a sports shot. That's where you see the biggest difference. But absolutely, you can play urethane on whatever you want to, other than dry lanes. It's not for dry lanes. Oh, Bigfoot. Do you know when they're going to release the video about the drilling? Yeah, they did it on Monday. Speed. Gary Coleman. I will stick with my Dick Weber 5-star. I'm just really happy you're alive. Willis will be so happy. Oh, no, that's Jerry Coleman. Damn. Hey, if you like your 5-star, if it works for you, keep it. That's what I tell people. If something works, don't replace it with something else. Get the same thing if you want, if it's still available. If people complain about where you're standing, just give them where your slide foot lands, or both. Yeah. People will complain about anything. I used to work for a while. I had a game store, and one thing we used to say about gamers is you could take $100 bill and fold it 3 times and give it to them, and they would complain because you should have either folded it 4 times or 2 times. People will find a reason to complain. They just do. Kevin, love the videos. Have to wonder about those left-handed looks. Those guys look very weird, don't they? Some very weird language on the back of their backs. We only get so many balls that we can test with. So we do our best. The easiest thing for us is to take the videos and flip them over so you can see what they'll look like from the left-handed side. We also try to take the shots that tend to be in the zones that left-handers would play those balls in as well, so you can get a much better idea of how it will look as a lefty. Trust me, if I could get 2 more bowling balls for each ball review we did, I would have a left-hander and a 2-hander, without question. I would just cover every style. I wish I could. I really wish I could. A Motive Bowler. How about another look at the Ghost, the Jackal Ghost without the P2 weight hole? I'm pretty sure Scoops has that somewhere. We might be able to take a look at it, see if it's changed. How would the Defender compare to the Hellraiser Blaze? Defender's going to be earlier and smoother. Cores just spins up earlier. It's also going to be a little bit more hook. Probably 1, maybe 2 boards, but it's just going to be in a different place. How does it compare to the Kingpin? More motion down lane. It spins up about the same place, but it's got more hook, more motion down lane. Somebody asking if I like XXX 18-year-olds. I'm pretty sure I'm too old for that now. Yeah, I'm probably pretty too old for that now. Sorry. How close is the new Conspiracy in Oil compared to the OG Solid? Well, we put the video out. The video for that's going to be going out at the end of this show. We're going to be making it live. It's not like the OG. Unless you change the surface on it, they're going to perform very differently. Not in a bad way, just differently. The OG had a lot of surface to it, not a lot of shine. This is 500 plus compound out of the box, so it's designed. It's going to have a much different look, and you can see it in the video. It's going to be much more angular than what we saw out of the original. But if you take them to the same surface, I'm almost positive they're going to be identical. Just better hitting power in the new scheme because of Dynamic Core. Woo! Tiger, brilliant. Great content, Bearded Beast. Most informative, simplicity at its best. I appreciate that. Thank you. I try to be as simple as I can. God knows my wife tells me I'm simple. I'm going to get an email. I'm going to get a text soon. Just stumbled on your channel. Fantastic review. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for finding us. Thank you for joining us. Much appreciated. Please talk louder or talk into the microphone. Can't hear what you're saying. That could be Scoop. Sometimes he moves it away. He moves the microphone away from his mouth to breathe, just like Tay Zunde. And if you know who Tay Zunde is, you might be old as I am. Not really impressed with the Bigfoot. That's okay. You don't have to be. If you've got a bonus pearl and you really like it, cool, Jim. RB, interesting video in terms of ball reaction. Seems to be a very short hook window. Absolutely. The Bigfoot, as we said, when you blow that intermediate differential up, it really shortens that hook window. So it's really, the Bigfoot really does fit in between the kind of like the 3D offset and symmetrical ball. Do you have any undrilled LT48s? I wish. Man, I wish. What scoops would you rather, Wayne Blakely? What? Done. Hire Ron Weinberg. Oh, yeah. No, we'll just get scoops. I see what you're saying. Yeah, no. We'll get Wayne Blakely because he's a left-handed two-hander. Is that what you're saying? Just make everyone angry. I'd like to get a traditional left-hander and a traditional two-hander, just so I can get just about everybody. I'd also like to get a female bowler on the stream because, as I've always said, I think that's something that we're missing. There's tons of female bowlers out there, not a lot of representation. Choose Ron over Wayne. I don't know about that. King of Bowling. Nice work, fellas. Been catching up on the releases. Gotta check this one out for sure. That's really cool. I watch King of TV Bowling all the time. He's got all the retro reviews. We've done a few retro reviews, but he gets some crazy retro reviews. Plus, he puts up a lot of old shows and stuff, like local TV. If you haven't seen it before, definitely check out his channel. Super cool. What else we got here? Russell. Wayne ain't moving. No, Wayne doesn't move. Wayne shuffles. Wayne shuffles. You know what? It's 9:24. It's late enough. We've answered a whole bunch of questions. I feel like we've answered tons of questions. Is there anything out there that you guys want to ask before we get finished up here? I'll give you a couple of minutes. I'll just go over our social media once again. You can find us at Laneside Reviews at live.com. That takes you to our Facebook. From there, you can check out any social media platform. We're pretty much on there. Just look up hashtag TEAMLSR or Laneside Reviews. If you want a date with Scoops, you'll have to talk to his wife. I'm sure she can arrange it. He is available for a price. Sandwich and bedtime for me. It sounds pretty good too, actually. Wouldn't mind some food myself. Ooh, somebody has just messaged me. Hello, Kevin Walsh. I will get you the Arsenal building information as soon as I can. Doesn't look like there's much else out there. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials. This Thursday, we'll talk about how the Masters is shaking up. See if we get some more information on the shady dealings with taking people's balls and looking at them without them around. That's weird. I guess we'll hit everything else. More questions. Hopefully some more Pro Shop horror stories. And all the more. Once again, thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow us here on Twitch. We're going to be, I guess the other thing we'll do on Thursday, we'll give away that poster. Since the winner didn't come for that autographed Parker Bone III poster, we're just going to do another draw and give it away. So make sure that you are just following us here on Laneside here on Twitch. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Very important. We are so close. We are just 1.7% away from getting to 40% subscribed. That means we're going to start giving away some jerseys. Just putting it out there. The more you follow us, the more you share us, the more you subscribe to us, the more we're going to do. The crazier we're going to get. My shirt's coming off. Nobody wants to see that. But yeah, we're going to be giving away jerseys. We've got all sorts of stuff we're going to try to do once we get to 40% subscribed. But we got to get there first. So don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Very important. Oh, my shirt's just all over the place. Just completely undid myself. Rocking my classic BWC Syndicate shirt. You make the rules, we break them, for all you classic wrestling fans. A little Scott D'Amore action. Yeah, it looks like that's it for questions. So, I guess. Until next time, guys, be nice to each other. Keep your ball on the lane. Knock down pins. We'll see you laneside.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
I found the outro button!
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a show. So until next time, guys, we'll see you laneside.